Let's talk about the thing you never talk about. The silent panic, the rehearsed words, the way your chest tightens when someone says your name, even kindly. Let's talk about how your heart races when nothing is chasing you. How you shrink yourself in rooms that don't ask you to. How your smile shows up right on time, but your voice doesn't. Let's talk about social anxiety, not clinically, not critically, but honestly, cosmically, lovingly, because I see you, and you've never been as alone as you felt. Carl Jung called it the persona, the mask you wear to survive the expectations of others. But sometimes the mask stays on so long, you forget you ever had a face underneath. This isn't about confidence. This is about safety, about learning to be seen, without fear of disappearing. You were not born afraid of people. You became cautious when connections started to cost you. And now, you're here, still carrying the weight of every moment you felt too visible or not enough. But here, with me, you don't have to pretend. Let's talk about it. The fear, the pressure, the longing to be understood without performing for it. Let's talk about social anxiety as something to understand, not something to be ashamed of. Because your nervous system isn't broken. It's just been on high alert for longer than it was ever meant to be. And now, we help it come home. You're not overreacting. You're over-processing in a world that taught you to expect rejection. Social anxiety doesn't come from weakness. It comes from hyper-awareness. You notice in everything. The micro-expressions, the tone shifts, the pauses that feel too long, the way someone looks at their phone when you're speaking, as if that one glance confirms everything your mind already feared. You feel the room before you enter it. You scan for danger before you say a word. Because long ago, your brain decided that being yourself wasn't always safe. Maybe it started when you were laughed at for simply existing. Maybe you were taught that silence was better than being wrong. Maybe love came with judgment, or vulnerability was met with embarrassment. Whatever the cause, you learned that showing up as yourself had consequences. So now, even when the people around you are kind, your body still responds like it's under attack. Your brain replays conversations like crime scenes. You rewrite texts 5 times before sending them. You apologize for things you didn't even do wrong. And that doesn't make you broken. It makes you tired. Because what you're really afraid of is not being seen, or being seen the wrong way. You're carrying the invisible weight of perception, of being misunderstood, of being too much, of not being enough. And when people say, just relax, you want to scream, don't you? Because it's not about relaxing, it's about surviving. Every word feels like a calculation. Every silence feels like a failure. Every glance feels like a spotlight on something you forgot how to hide. That's why it hurts so much. Because to you, social interaction isn't connection, it's performance. And you've been performing for far too long. It's not your fault, but it is still yours to carry until you choose to put it down. Social anxiety has roots. They don't grow in adulthood. They grow in the early years, when your brain was still learning what the world would do with the real you. Maybe your voice was too loud, so you learned to whisper. Maybe you were told, stop crying, instead of, what's wrong? So you learned to feel quietly, or not at all. Maybe you were laughed at, for asking honest questions, or ignored when you gave the right answers. Maybe your safety depended on being invisible, so you made a home inside yourself, and you called it protection. Your nervous system didn't malfunction, it evolved. It started associating attention with danger, judgment with pain, people with performance. And so you created a version of yourself that could survive in rooms that didn't feel safe. You became agreeable, careful, pleasant, small. You became a master of seeming okay, even when you weren't. But here's the part no one tells you. You didn't choose that version of yourself. You created them out of necessity. And now, even though the danger has passed, that part of you doesn't know. That part of you still thinks you need to be alert when someone says your name, still thinks you'll be judged for speaking your truth, still believes connection equals risk. So your system, beautiful and brilliant, runs the old program like it always has. That's where it comes from. Not from a broken brain, not from weakness, from a system that learned how to protect you too well. Now that you're grown, that protection has become your prison. And the mask that once kept you safe now keeps you distant. But knowing this, that's where freedom begins. Because what was once survival is no longer necessary, and the version of you that built the mask is finally allowed to rest. Healing doesn't mean being fearless, it means being free. This is not about becoming confident. It's not about being the loudest in the room or suddenly loving small talk. It's about something much quieter: safety. Healing begins when you stop trying to be impressive and start learning how to be real again. Start here. Breathe when the fear rises, not to erase it, just to tell your body, we're okay now. Speak, even when your voice shakes, because healing doesn't wait for confidence. It moves through courage. Show up as you are, without rehearsing, without managing every word. Let silence be a friend, not a failure. You don't need to reject the version of you who was scared. That version got you here. But now you get to choose who leads. The anxiety may still show up, but it won't drive anymore. You will. And slowly, something shifts. You start speaking without apologizing. You start showing up, even when it's awkward. You start making eye contact, and it doesn't burn. You start letting people see the real you, and it doesn't destroy you. It heals you. Because for the first time in a long time, you realize you were never too much. You were never not enough. You were just waiting for a version of the world where you didn't have to hide. That version is here now, and so are you. You are not your anxiety. You are not your mask. You are not your fear. You are the one underneath it all. Tender, aware, human and whole, and you are safe here. Welcome back to your voice. Welcome back to your breath. Welcome back to yourself.